Hey.
There it is.
What's going on, man?
You're talking to me.
Oh,
Not much.
I was talking to that guy.
Listen, Tyler, I'm feeling myself right now. We're
It's 'cause of
not
the
getting
picks,
enough.
isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I'm
Hard to get
28-6 against the spread, Tyler.
I mean, in theory, that should mean that you're winning a lot of money.
I have won a lot of money.
Love to hear it.
Let's see here. That's 82.4%.
Sustainable.
It is sustainable, and it will not trail off. That is the biggest thing. I always hate this. Is what Connor used to always do. He'd always say, "Water will find its level," and I'm like, "Can you just fucking cheer for me, please? I'm trying to make some money here."
Any like trends that you're following that are hitting like every week thus far? Or
I mean, honestly, it's just the first half. It's just the first half of bets. I haven't really done my research as much as I should have this week. I'm gonna get into it now since we've started the show.
the boys.
But no, I mean, like I feel like there's some good bets this week. It's not as good as last week. I mean, last week, looking at the board, I was like, oh man, that maybe I'm dumb, but I have like 16 plays that I feel like could be good. And then that's got to be way too much, right? And then 14 of them hit. So I don't know. We'll see. What about you?
Things have been up and down, Chris. I mean, I can't say that I've had a ton
Emotionally?
of luck. No, emotions are good. More so with betting.
That's good.
Okay. Why don't we get into it? Ready?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of College Football Uncensored, brought to you by Saturday Down South and Texas Pete, Chris.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, Tyler. We're talking. I'm on a little bit of a Peter right now. If that doesn't sound good. What I mean is a heater. I'm on a heater, and I think the good luck train that's left the station, and I am just fucking just barreling ahead on, is from our good friends at Texas Pete. Now, should we get on a Peter? We should not get that trending.
On a Peter? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't
probably not. Probably not. But next time you are at the grocery store. Yeah. Next time you're at the grocery store and you're sitting there thinking, you're like, man, how could I add some spice to my life? Is it a second OnlyFans account? No, it's not. It's a bottle of Texas Pete. And also, it's a bottle of Texas Pete buffalo sauce. Like, now, this is the best part. So, because they have like the original hot sauce, which is fantastic. But have you had the buffalo sauce? Of
course. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Now, I don't like that I got the mild version because it's all the Publix could carry in Buckhead because it's so Wop City down here. But lay off that Peter. Kirby's visor is here in effect. I love it. Yeah, but it's like there's one thing that has we are, you know what? It's trending. We are on a Peter, baby. We are on a Peter.
But seriously, let's take a quick time out to talk about some of these spicy plays by Texas Pete. That is. Texas Pete has the spice and flavor that's kicking this football season up a notch. If you haven't tried the original hot sauce or their new traditional barbecue sauce, run, don't walk to grab yourself a bottle today.
Did you get
Visit TexasPete.com for recipes and hot apparel, plus take 20% off your entire order with promo code Uncensored. We have our own promo code.
Let's go.
Win big with Texas Pete when you sauce like you mean it.
I was wondering why you didn't. I just assumed we didn't have an ad read. Where did I miss that?
We've got an ad read.
I got to check my emails again, huh?
Yeah. Probably makes sense.
So
next time you go to the grocery store, Texas Pete or TexasPete.com, promo code Uncensored to take 20% off your entire order. And hey, once you get your Texas Pete, go on Instagram, post a picture of it, hashtag on a Peter, and Chris is going to send you a free sticker.
I'm going to send you free all sorts of stuff because they are loading us up with Texas Pete swag and giveaways this year. But so, by the way, tough. It's like when I get the stickers, I want to get them. I want to send them out. By the way, the actual Horny for Disrespect stickers have also been mailed, and they are here. They have been mailed to the wrong address, so they are going to be mailed to the current address I'm at. Or they're in the process of doing that. I don't know how slow the USPS is, but yeah, Texas Pete. There's a whole bunch of giveaways that we have, and I do love the Sauce Like You Mean It. It reminds me of that Killer song, Smile Like You Mean It. It's like, smile like you mean it, sauce like you mean it.
Hashtag
That's
on
the
a
show.
Peter. Yeah, so we're going to be getting into some of the big games of the week. Obviously, a lot of the SEC has a nice little tune-up for maybe getting into SEC play more heavily later in the year. But there are a couple big SEC matchups that we want to go through tonight. What else you got on your radar tonight, Chris?
Well, first off, who the fuck is Carson? Because I like this guy a lot. He is throwing out team total first half unders. Carson, are we best friends?
Love
okay,
that.
hold on.
And
Trevor
especially
Garza,
when
real
it's
quick.
Rutgers.
Yeah. Trevor Garza, I appreciate you joining in here. He wrote us a very honest and somewhat scathing message a week ago, and then we had a great talk like we always do, and we talked it out. And I've got some stuff for A&M fans late that you're actually gonna like. You're actually gonna like. We do have an interview with John Neighbors from Arkansas, big Arkansas guy, to break down the Arkansas and Texas A&M game. That's going to be at about 9:15, so that is 38 minutes from now. Until then, we're going to probably, Tyler might play guitar because you can see that in the background.
Yep.
I'd like for you to play one song for us.
Smile like you mean it.
Just like you mean. I don't like this bacon neck I got going on here. I got my Hawk shirt on. It's almost basketball season, according to ESPN. No, so what's on my radar is we'll talk briefly about the scheduling thing that came out yesterday. It was so stupid for a lot of reasons. Mainly talk about this matchups this week, and then we will also talk about a little buy or sell overreactions from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
I don't know. You're the host.
Okay. Let's go with a little
scheduling
reaction. No. Okay. I think I'll just say on the scheduling part, I think it's kind of weird to drop it this early, like in the middle of the season.
So dumb.
It takes away from pretty much all the excitement of it.
So they did it right one time, and it was ironically enough during the COVID year, right? And that was in 2020. It's a hell of a year for all of us. And like, I thought about this yesterday. This is like the one thing that the SEC is fumbling badly, because there's like, Georgia fans, hear me out before you start getting all upset. What sucks is for a 12th straight year, we're not going to see Georgia go play A&M at A&M. That's not Georgia's fault at all. That's not Kirby's fault. Georgia's not dodging A&M at all. Georgia would go to A&M and probably win by 3 scores. I hope you hear me say all of that. But it is kind of a giant disservice from the SEC to not send and make that one matchup. They're the only team that hasn't gone to College Station. I don't really get why we're doing that. There's a couple other matchups too. Like, we haven't seen Florida go to Auburn. We've seen Florida go to College Station 3 times, if you count this year. But I just thought that part, and then the whole doing it during the season on a Tuesday night, like anybody, like, I had to care because it's my job to care. Like, literally, it's what I get paid to do. But grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I don't know why we would do it that day. It just seemed kind of stupid and short-sighted.
Yeah, I think you wait till an opportunity, whether it's the off season or just I don't think there's really a dead period throughout fall to do it, but it kind of just takes the luster off of it for sure. So, but hey, a little news drop there this week.
Yeah,
I think it's totally overlooked by especially the Tennessee-Florida game.
No, I think that'll be a lot of fun. All right, you want to get into some overreactions?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, well, let's put it this way. Maybe we undersold USC before the season started. Like, we maybe didn't want to believe that they would be good right away.
Yeah.
I think my overreaction is like maybe everyone was wrong on USC. Now, when I say everyone, I mean a lot of the people that were actually thinking they were smart, saying, hey, this is Lincoln's first year. Yes, they have a couple transfers on offense that'll make that thing go, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Let's not forget they weren't a very good team last year. And, Joe Public, as we said on this podcast, USC received the most national championship tickets in Vegas. So, usually when Joe Public is all over something like that, usually it's the wrong side. So that's why maybe it's still an overreaction. But, man, USC, I don't really see how where are they slipping up on that schedule?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Tyler, because it is return of growth, okay? We are talking growth this week on the podcast. Hold on, I'm texting Peter Burns because he's in the comment section right now. So they're only a 7-point favorite on the road at the Beavs. I
kind of like the Beavs there.
The Beavs never did anything wrong to me.
Right.
Alumnus of the Beavs, sure. But I kind of like the Beavs, and I kind of am pulling for the Beavs. And you know where I really like him, Tyler? Or I don't really like the Beavs here. I like USC betting-wise. I really like him in the first quarter when they're favored by a half a point against the Oregon State team that is – what have they done? They beat Fresno State in a last-second win.
Is that game 10:30 Eastern?
Probably. Let me double check on it here. I'm scrolling down.
If that's a night game, I love the Beavs.
Do you really?
+7.
I don't think it's a night game, Tyler. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so it is a
Pac-12 after dark.
It is a 9:30 start time. The Beavers went 33 years once went 33 years between wins over SC. That was from 67 to 2000. Oregon State beat the Trojans in the Coliseum last September for the first time since 1960. Wow. Oregon State a 16-6 against the spread as an underdog since 2019. And
you just rolling the Corvallis.
Okay. After last night's win against Fresno State, Lincoln Riley has started 3-0 straight up and versus the line at USC. They're one of 5 teams, by the way, that have actually won every game and covered in every game they've played in so far. Here's where it concerns me. It opened at 6.5 and has been bet down to 5.5. Like, what does Vegas know? That
I got it at 7.
You got it.
Well, I had to buy. I bought a half point. I couldn't do the 6.5.
No,
maybe too nervous. But I got +7 for the Beavs.
No, I do think the overreaction though is strong. I think we talk about with USC, and we'll get into that game a little bit later too. But I think that USC, because there's still so much season to go, right? They still got to play Utah. I think they still got to play Oregon, and they wouldn't have to play Utah twice because they're in the same division. I just like they look legit. They look legit. I don't know if they are, and I wonder. Listen, if you lose to Oregon State, like if you beat them by 4 or 3 or whatever, which is basically what Vegas is saying. If you do that, this week in week 4, week 14, no one remembers or cares. But
you just gotta get out of there with a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 9:30. Because you go Arizona State, who doesn't have a head coach, Washington State, who okay. The hardest game is at Utah, and that's a hard game. That's a very tough game.
Yeah.
But then you go to end the year, you go Arizona, Cal, Colorado, UCLA, Notre Dame. None of those teams are good. Maybe UCLA.
No.
So
also, I just want you to know that Peter Burns, who's live watching the show right now, just saw William Gray's. Peter Burns is on a Peter with his rat poison for UGA. So noted celeb. Peter Burns watching the show right now. Yeah.
PDB in the house. So yeah, that's my overreaction. I think USC is.
I don't like this.
I don't know. I think they're in the thick of the playoff race. The way they look on offense,
they are. Is that better? Do I look cooler? No, I look worse. I hate everything that's happening right now. How did my forehead get significantly bigger by putting this hat on?
I don't know. Just let's
cool.
Move on.
All right. Yeah. All right. Next overreaction. Here's my overreaction. Georgia's the greatest team of all time.
Oh, God.
Why no. I'm not saying this is my take. I'm asking you if that's an overreaction because you know whose take it was? It was the coach of Kent State. And this is I actually heard this on multiple Atlanta radio stations this week. And you had to know the first thing I was going to bring up was a Georgia one.
Yeah,
but like they said on 94.9 The Bull, Kristen, who I love to death, brought it up, and then they brought it up on 680 The Fan, and I was shocked that because first off, listen, if the Kent State coach said, I get it, I totally get it, and they're a really really good football team. I think they're the best team in the country. I don't think it's really close. Peter Burns said they were going to go down as one of the greatest teams of all time.
Pete's too scared to comment right now.
It's week. He's probably not listening anymore. It's week 3. It's week 4, and we're anointing this team who's played no one and won't play anyone. And this is where it brings me here, Tyler. I think that the one Achilles heel for Georgia is that for the second straight year, they're not going to be tested until they get to the postseason.
Yeah. But then the postseason teams, can they even test Georgia at this point?
Yeah. Ohio State can, for sure.
Okay.
So that's my overreaction. Is Georgia one of the best teams of all time? It's just so early. And I will say this too. 2018, I remember people saying that about Bama. 2019, we didn't say about LSU until way late in the season, probably because they played Bama on the road that year. It very well could be the case that they're the best team in the country. We'll give it some time. What's your next overreaction?
Florida's not any good.
Oh, I don't think it's an overreaction.
They did beat Utah. I still think that. No, I think that a lot of people are saying that now already, and I think it's because we went so over the top after week 1.
Yeah,
with the Utah win, you know. Richardson gets all the bets coming in on him for Heisman, and then he's rightfully looked pretty bad over the last few weeks. Now, there is some rumors out there that he's actually hurt, and their backup is hurt, so probably more hurt, so he couldn't even play if they wanted him to.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of thrown Richardson off of his game, but we've seen the upside of Florida, and I think – we'll talk. We're obviously going to preview and break down this Tennessee-Florida game. But what was the difference between the Utah game and the other 2 games, excuse me, that they've played where they've looked significantly worse? And in particular, Richardson has looked significantly worse.
Yeah. Wait, what's the question?
What was the difference between the Utah game and the other 2, besides the fact that they looked good? They were an underdog. There was no pressure for them to win.
Right.
And
that's fair.
And Mullen said this I think it was today on ESPN. When that kid can play, and he would know, obviously, when that kid can play loose and just play the game and make plays and not have to worry about, being a favorite to win, and having the pressure of being the leader, that's when he's at his best. And so, hey, that this weekend, they're huge underdogs. Maybe you see something out of them. So, I'm hearing a lot of like Florida sucks and they're trash, and
well, that's because you're a Florida State fan, Tyler.
Jeff they also barely. They probably should have lost to USF. So I think one would be right in saying that. Yeah, they probably don't look great.
Jeff Rollins said the FSU fan saying that is like Marler saying Oregon State's going to win the Pac-12.
Yeah,
I'm confused, but I can't disagree with them. But here's the other thing too. I don't think you're necessarily wrong with saying they're a bad team. I think that they might be exactly who we thought they were, which is like a 6 to 7 win team, and that's fine because you're in year 1 of your coach. The other thing is now, and hear me out here. He still hasn't thrown a touchdown, right? He's going to play Tennessee. Now he's going to play against a Tennessee team that's not known for their defense. It's not like they're going to schematically line up against him and figure out ways to shut him down, in my opinion. I don't think. Like, they're a 10.5-point underdog, which feeds into my next overreaction question. They're a 10.5-point underdog with what do you call it, against Tennessee. But I will admittedly be pulling for Florida this weekend because I don't think there's anything funnier that could happen in week 4 of college football besides maybe USC losing their playoff bid A&M losing their playoff bid in the first month. I don't think there's anything funnier that could happen this weekend than Tennessee losing to Florida for the 17th time in 18 seasons when they were at home and a double-digit favorite. I don't think it'll happen, but I will say that I think it'd be funny. Which, all right, this is my last overreaction question. What is the Tennessee-Florida game and the A&M Arkansas game are the biggest games of the year for Tennessee and for Texas A&M?
Yeah, because I think for Tennessee, I mean, this is a game where it's home. I believe game day is there, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know who the guest picker is, by the way? This is fucked.
No.
It's Spurrier.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. That's gonna be kind of funny though, honestly.
Yeah.
You're a significant favorite, and we've talked about how often that Tennessee is this big of a favorite. It's not often, especially I think it's been never this high against Florida since like the 70s.
Spread?
Yeah, in Tennessee's favor.
That makes sense, I guess.
I don't think it's ever been over a touchdown in Tennessee's favor. So
this is a great game.
So you've got a lot on the line, and let's be honest, like the Georgia game, yes, that could be a big game, but you're not really expected to win that game. So I don't really view that as some huge game. The Kentucky game, I actually think Tennessee's better than Kentucky. I do
too.
This is where you prove that you're better than both Florida and Kentucky, and you're clear second in the East. Is you come out and you take care of business, but Tennessee hasn't been in a situation like this, so it's a huge game for them. A&M, if they lose this game, on top of losing to App State, and then really what could be considered a very boring game against Miami, where like they covered the spread, but I mean it's not like either team was impressive in that game.
Well, I mean, that defense for A&M is one of them games. I just think that this Saturday is going to change the minds of a lot of fans in the SEC for a number of reasons. And I'm sitting on a take. I mean, I'm sitting on a Peter, okay, as well. And so I want you to keep that in mind. Is that 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 is not what I meant. But I've been on a Peter, I've been on a heater, and I'm sitting on a take right now that I think is going to be sitting on a Peter is not what I meant to say at all. I'm just sitting on a take that I think is it makes so much sense to me. It makes so much sense to me, and I hope I'm not wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Okay. Do you have one more overreaction before we get into the actual game breakdowns? Because I have one more.
Okay, go for it.
If Auburn loses to Missouri, Brian Harsin is fired before Sunday morning.
I don't think that's an overreaction.
Or before Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. Okay. They lose at home against Missouri. Yeah, that's. I think that I'd be surprised if it didn't happen.
They're only a 10-point favorite. I think he'd get fired.
I think it's 7.
Shut up. That can't be right. Is it a brunch with the barn game? Please tell me it's a fucking 11 a.m. kick.
I'm pretty sure it's a 7.
Oh my God, it is. What?
Oh yeah,
we're hammering Auburn, right?
Auburn -7. Are we?
All right. Okay, so listen.
Let's just transition this into. Let's just
transition.
Okay, go.
Okay, because this might be my last overreaction, but I also don't want to open with my hammers of the week. Talk me out of right now. And again, your boy is 28-6 so far this season against the spread. You will absolutely see me dial it back a lot this week, so I don't break up. I don't lose any traction with that. Like I would love to be 31-9 going into next week. I'm 28-6 in these picks. Talk me out of Auburn as a 7-point favorite and Kansas as a 7-point favorite as my 2 locks of the week.
Who's Kansas playing?
Duke.
Okay. It's going to be popping in Kansas. That's for sure.
Lawrence?
I don't know, dude. Auburn. So Finley's out, right? Which You could say that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Like, do we know if Harsin isn't intentionally just throwing the season because he wants to get the hell out of Auburn because things are not going well for him?
No.
Why else would he be playing Finley if Ashford was better?
If you want to know why he's only playing Finley, is because Calzada's hurt and Finley has looked better than Robbie Ashford in practice. That's it. He's not going to
why
anymore.
Should I expect
Robbie
Auburn...
Ashford is going to be the quarterback.
Right. So why should I expect Auburn to look better than they have already, which is not very good?
Because they're playing Mizzou?
A lot of pressure. No pressure on Missouri.
I guess I am asking you to talk me out of.
Yeah, I am.
But yeah, that's fair because I don't want to bet on this. All right, let's get into the game though. Let's get into the game because we supposedly have John Neighbors. I don't know how we're inviting him in here. In the next 2 minutes, I'm gonna let you do that with Dan because I don't know any better on how to do that. But let's get into that, and we'll try to make sure we are talking about the Arkansas A&M game by that point. So. First games, looking at like the SEC slate, especially, and we're actually going to branch out and do a couple of other games too, whether you like it or not, Tyler, for Saturday and cover some other conferences as well, which actually I know that you will like that. All right. First and foremost, we're talking the Auburn Mizzou game. Auburn lost by 29 points at home last week. This is also a team I think they've only played like twice, and once was in the SEC championship since they've been in the league. Mizzou, you get a decent win a couple weeks ago, last week, but you got just trounced in your game against Kansas State. I don't think there's any numbers like of Mizzou on the road that are going to like persuade me one way or the other. This is a shit game. I mean, this is an absolute shit game. Like, there's no part of this. Like,
it makes you want to take the under.
It just absolute offensive ineptitude. The entire time. They should play this game on a Friday, right? Just give a little teaser into the weekend, but they should also play it like Friday at like 8:30 in the morning. Just if you catch it, you catch it. If not, you fucking miss nothing. It's fine. It's like rush hour traffic. Who cares?
Yeah, I wouldn't take Auburn as a lock for -7, but I probably would side there. Missouri has been absolutely terrible on the road. They're 2-12 against the spread in their last 14 games on the road.
Oh, so exactly absolutely I said good.
So I would just say that, but I probably more so. I'm envisioning this game playing out as one of the worst games we've ever watched. Yeah, and it going way under the total, and the total is like not that high.
They're 2-12 in their last 14 road games
against the spread.
Love that. Good number. I'm gonna use that later. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, next game. So, and I don't want to lose our audience by talking about this, but like, should we talk like other games? We're not going to talk about Bowling Green, Mississippi State. I am so fucking tired of seeing Bowling Green on the SEC slate. It's not anything against these teams. It's just the fucking colors and that stupid ass logo. I'm so tired of seeing orange and brown against the SEC.
Bowling Green has got to have the worst color scheme in college.
Awful. Yeah. Awful. Georgia, Kent State. I don't think that is a game that we're going to talk about. But there are 2 12 o'clock games that are kind of interesting. Actually, 3 12 o'clock games that are kind of interesting. Jesus, 4. Maybe I should have done some research before we started talking about the 12 o'clock games. There's 4 12 o'clock games that are a little bit interesting from around the country. And we don't need to talk about all of them, but let's talk about a little bit on some of them. You have Baylor at Iowa State, which I probably won't touch. I think Baylor is a underdog, despite Baylor being 10-4 in Big 12 games under Dave Aranda. Clemson is a 7.5-point favorite at Wake Forest. And Sam Hartman, they looked pretty bad last week. They almost lost at home to Liberty. You have Kansas, who's a 7-point favorite against Duke, and I'm telling you right now, that is the best bet of the week. It flat out is. And then you have, last but not least, you have Maryland at Michigan. Michigan doing their best to continue the streak of not playing a single solitary opponent away from home, which is just a bold move. I cannot believe they're getting away with it this late into the September slate. But here's a number for you, because they're a 17-point favorite, which seems kind of high. Harbaugh has, this is in quotes, brutalized Maryland winning and covering in all 6 meetings, each by 21 points or more, since he's become head coach in 2015. So, listen, after he's 8-2 against the spread in his last 10 games at home, they're a 17-point favorite. You got anything on that?
On that, just like that full slate?
Yeah.
I kind of think Clemson -7 is a good play.
I do too.
I like Wake's, obviously their offense is good. I mean, they're very good. They've won 11 straight games at home, but I think their defense is pretty bad. And in fact, even though their defense had some huge plays in the game against Liberty, they did intercept 3 passes and they forced a fumble. And they still barely beat Liberty as 17-point favorites at home. So really, honestly, without some turnover luck, they lose going away in that game. They averaged less than 1 yard per carry, and they got outgained in yards by Liberty. So while I think their offense is good, that Clemson defense is still extremely good. And I think they'll do enough to slow the offense down for Wake. And I think their offense can do enough because Wake's defense is just so bad. I mean, Clemson's offense is still not great. They're not firing on all cylinders. But I think this is a cover for Clemson here. So I'm going to take Clemson -7 out of this slate.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to take Kansas. I might jump on Michigan, but just because of the fact that hold on. Just because I didn't see all those numbers where you're talking about Maryland being 3-9 their last 12 games on the road under Loxley, and then everything that you just heard about Michigan and against the spread at home. I do think it's going to be a good game, though, because I think Talia has done a pretty good job, and they're going to put some points for sure. Okay, let's get into one more game before we transition into A&M and Arkansas. Let's get back to the SEC here. I want to wait and do Tennessee and Florida for the end because I think it's the game of the week. Just looking through some of these other games, we've already talked about the Auburn game. Hold on, let me pull this up here. We're talking about the Auburn Mizzou. Bama Vandy. Do you have anything on that?
Not really.
Yeah, it's Bama's a 40-point favorite. I will tell you this. Nick Saban is 4-11-1 in his last 16 games where he's been a 40-point favorite or more. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole, maybe even 11-foot pole, guys, as the saying goes. I don't think that there's a lot of benefit here. The cons definitely outweigh the pros here. So that being said, you have a couple other games in the conference that are equally as shitty. You have Kentucky playing North Illinois, Ole Miss playing Tulsa. We already talked about Mississippi State and Bowling Green.
Charlotte, South Carolina.
Charlotte's not a bad team the past couple of years, but they're 1-3. Is there anything that jumps off the page to you about like what these teams need to do? Because I will say this, I think that I'm pretty passionate about this Charlotte South Carolina game in terms of I don't know if there's a coach in the SEC that needs to get a win more than Shane Beamer, and there's not a coach in the SEC that needs to get a win decisively and early on more than Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer needs to put these people away in the first half. Honestly, the first quarter. He needs to come out. They need to be up by 21 points in the first quarter because this has been tough to watch, and the fan base is already getting a little bit restless over there in Columbia after what happened. I mean, they got just like part of it's their own fault because I don't know what you expected to happen when you go up against Georgia in week 3. But that schedule does not really let up for the rest of the season after this game. So get to 3-1 and do it like, in decisive fashion.
Is South Carolina, I don't know. The over-under on that game is 69, by the way.
Love that. 69?
That's extremely high.
I'm not betting unders, but that kind of makes me want to.
You got New Mexico at LSU. This is the slate in the SEC this week.
It's bad.
A little rough, but I do love.
And I want everyone to remember this too. If you're a fan of outside the SEC, I want you to remember this week before you start talking shit about week 13, because maybe they'll get more than Title IX athletes in the end zone.
Damn.
That is fucking savage.
Yikes.
That's good.
That's good.
Always want to be under with 69. Love that, Robert. Yeah, I mean, is there nothing else that jumps out to you? I mean, Texas Tech, I think is interesting in a lot of ways.
Texas Tech is interesting just because I think Texas Tech. Well, I don't know. Before the NC State game, I was actually expecting Texas Tech to have a better game against NC State, so they may not be that good. Yeah. I was thinking they'd be better.
So I mean, let's give me for the next 5 minutes. I mean, let's what do you have on your docket here that are that you're going to be playing this week? I know that FSU's got a game against Boston College this weekend. Sell me on the week four slate of games, or do you not want to?
I'm going to the Florida State Boston College game.
I know you're going to yet another game without me.
Well, yeah, that is true. Oklahoma, Kansas State could be interesting. I know Oklahoma's a 12.5 point favorite, but I think Kansas State's a pretty decent Big 12 team.
And they got
that's probably Oklahoma's first test. I mean, people were thinking Nebraska was going to give them a test last week. Yikes. I guess that game's in Norman at night, so I don't love it, but I think 12.5 is a big number there. There's always a lot of value in these G5 games.
It's always a lot to, yeah. Somebody posted this earlier, and I know that they were kidding, but maybe they weren't. Before we get in the G5 part, Iowa Rutgers is an over-under at 34.5.
Gross.
Isn't that gross?
That's just gross. But also seems very Iowa Rutgers at the same time.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
I like Old Dominion's actually a really decent team. They're playing
in every
Arkansas
sport.
State. I like them -5.5. Well, they were -6 when I took them. It's -5.5 now, which you hate.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
They play Arkansas State.
Can I give you Oregon's at Washington State, which I think is interesting. UCF is hosting Georgia Tech, which I think is kind of interesting. I wish they would play that on a Friday night. Now, what pisses me off is that Texas and Texas Tech, Notre Dame and North Carolina, all those games are going to be played at 3:30 at the same exact time, which just blows. Because I think that there's some interesting games in there as well. I mean, UCF and Georgia Tech. I mean, Georgia Tech is just so bad. If they get embarrassed by UCF, it's not outrageous to think that they fire what's his name, Jeff Collins, this weekend because of how bad that's been. Now, I will say that's not getting nearly.
Jeff is a 20.5 point favorite against Georgia Tech.
Yeah. That's not okay.
No, that's not good.
Okay, I'll give you one that's not getting near enough conversation, and that is Ohio State and Wisconsin. You don't hear anything about this at all.
Well, that's because Wisconsin just lost to Washington State at home.
Washington? How do we know that Washington State's a bad team?
We don't, but it's just I think people just kind of moved on from Wisconsin after that. That's probably why you're not hearing a lot from this game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's the spread on that game? 18.5?
Yeah. Again, that's 6.5 in the first quarter, and it's 10 in the first half. The 10 in the first half I love.
Okay. I mean, but it's at Ohio State at night.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking Ohio State.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying Wisconsin.
No.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. No. I like that. Anything under 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, let's get into one of the SEC games and we'll make some of our guaranteed picks here at the end. But let's get into one of the biggest games of the weekend, maybe the biggest game, depending on how you're looking at it. Texas A&M is playing Arkansas in Arlington. So I said this earlier. I think that it's not outrageous to think that this is the biggest game of the year for some of these for both of these. Yeah, I guess both of these teams. Not really, more so A&M than Arkansas, because Arkansas still has so much meat on the bone when it comes to their schedule, and then also they're undefeated. But if you're A&M and you come into the season ranked top 6, you have the number 1 recruiting class in the country, you have all these expectations that you have put on yourself, and on top of that, you did all the shit talking and kind of took the bullseye of it being on Georgia, of it being on Bama, it being on one of these up and coming teams like Tennessee or even Arkansas. You took the bullseye and just put it firmly on your fucking chest like a "Hi, my name is" sticker, and thought, you know what, this is a good idea. What could go wrong? We play so many games in Kyle Field this year. I think that this is a must-win game for Jimbo, even more than last week. And that's because you don't want to go into October with your national championship hopes gone. Now, you look at Arkansas, and we're going to send hold on one second. Hold on. I'm forwarding you this. I'm sending you a screenshot, and you're in charge of sending him a thing. All right, so it's coming to your phone right now. Heard?
I have
Tyler?
no idea. No.
Check your phone and then go from there. Okay. So talking about this game in particular, Arkansas has the worst ranked pass defense in the entire country. They're giving up like 350 yards a game. That being said, they've also been pretty good against the run. I think they're first in the conference, and also they're first in the entire country in total sacks this season. So through 3 games, they've already had 17 sacks. Drew Sanders, the Bama transfer, he's had 6 by himself. Now, if you're keeping score at home, the 6 that he's had by himself, that's 1 less than Bama's had as an entire team, his former team. It's also 5 more than the last ranked team in terms of total sacks this season, which is Georgia, which is fucking shocking that they have only 1 sack this year. So I know one of our listeners put in the comments, Max Johnson's sack total over under 3.5. A&M's offensive line is not bad, but I wonder, like the intrigue for me in this game is, did you take care of everything with the guest?
No, I just texted you
back. Then do that.
I can't.
Why?
I'm not on a Mac, so I can't text the link to the StreamYard from my computer
right now. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. This is how.
All right, so let me.
I'm saying to him now. Hold on, I got. Hold on.
Arkansas's D line is not fantastic.
What do you? Okay, I just said they had the most sacks in the entire country with 17.
Yeah, but they also are awful at giving up pass. They're last in pass defense.
Yeah, that's not even their defensive line. It has nothing to do with their defensive line.
It has nothing to do with their defensive line.
Let me tell you something about defense, Tyler. You don't see these 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackles dropping back in coverage, do you? This ain't a Joe Lee Dunn defense.
All right, Arkansas. The unders 5-2 in the last 7 games in this rivalry. Last year they only scored 30 total points. I don't know. I see it a little different this year. I think it's gonna be a little bit more high scoring and weird because A&M is not looking great on offense, but as I just said, Arkansas, they have the worst pass defense in the country.
Right.
And the only place that Jimbo and his offense have had success this year is explosive plays through the air, weirdly. Like their normal passing plays aren't great, but they've been very explosive through the air. And that's Arkansas's biggest weakness. So I have no doubt that Jimbo's going to be scheming something up for that. But it's also such a style conflict between a team who runs a ton of plays and a team that runs barely any plays. So that doesn't make me feel good about A&M. I know they're favored.
Well, we don't need to get into our picks yet until we get our guest in here with John. But I will say this. So looking at the rivalry in general, I mean, A&M has won. They had won 9 in a row dating back to 2012 since joining the league before last year's loss to Arkansas. In the last 7 of those wins, 5 of them had been by a single score. It's been a good series. It's been a fun game a lot of times. Rarely is it. I mean, the 2017 game, it was 50-43. A lot of these have been high scoring. A lot of them, for the most part, have covered that over that you even brought up, besides the one a year ago. This traditionally is a much higher scoring game. I don't disagree with that going into the over, despite how good A&M's offense is.
Or not good.
Somebody brought up what's that?
Despite how not good the A&M offense is, you mean?
Yeah, besides exactly. About how not good the offense is. They've been awful. They rank last. I think they are 13th in either yards per game or passing yards per game. I mean, it's just been brutal all season long. And like if you're just comparing from a standpoint of quarterback play, then it's Arkansas all day long, right? KJ Jefferson's been great. You also have the SEC's leading rusher at running back here with Rocket. I'm texting our guest one more time to join here. There he is. This is fantastic.
I hope so.
Okay. Wow, John, welcome in. What is going on right now? Is that a real mustache?
It's a beard, man. It's a whole beard.
Look, it looks like from the light. First off, you look great. You look great,
man. It's a little dark in my room. I'm usually recording my podcast like later or during the day, so it's like natural lighting. So I'm having to get the lighting figured out. So.
Is that a corgi painting on the background, or is that a wolf or a fox?
That's a Shiba, mind you. That's my dog, Rowdy. He's a real person, and so,
okay. He's a real person.
Yeah, it's funny story behind that. My ex painted that for me, but I loved it so much that I'm like, I got to keep it, even though she hates my guts. Like, I wanted to keep that. So it was a great painting. Yeah, exactly. It was a great painting. Yeah. It's a great painting.
I totally understand. So. Yeah. Well, John, welcome in, man. We sorry for the delay and our unprofessionalism, which is kind of a consistent theme on what we do here on College Football Uncensored. But we're talking about the Arkansas Texas A&M game. Obviously, from your shirt. And fake mustache, you are obviously a big Arkansas fan. No, so kind of take us through like what's the mood going into this game in around Fayetteville right now? Because there's got to be a lot of confidence, even though what happened last week. What's the overall mood and confidence going into this game?
You know, if this was like Alabama going into this weekend or maybe an Ole Miss, like there'd be a lot more concern. And I'm not saying that Razorback fans are feeling good about it, but there's just the weakness that Arkansas has is their pass defense. That's really the only thing that's been really bad. And A&M is not very good at throwing the ball. So I think Razorback fans are kind of hoping, well, if that's their weakness and our weakness is going to be hopefully covered up by that, then maybe it'll be okay. So I think that most Razorback fans are expecting to win this game against A&M. They don't think it's going to be a blowout. It'll probably be a close game. But because A&M's offense has been so bad, especially in the passing game, which has been Arkansas's biggest problem, Razorback fans feel like they're going to take care of business this weekend against A&M.
Okay. Surprised at all? Because one of the things that we do, I'd say but we don't, especially from a responsibility standpoint, is talk about gambling. And from the gambling standpoint, the 2-point underdog, like the Vegas setting the line 2 points. What thoughts on that? Because I think there's a lot of value we've been talking about with the over just from like the history of this game. But also, like, I think were you guys shocked to be underdogs going into this game? Because I kind of was.
I actually was too. I felt like if A&M was like undefeated and they had beat App State, then, you know, if it was like a 2-point underdog like it is, then it wouldn't have surprised me. But yeah, it's like Arkansas honestly has played a tougher schedule than A&M. I know A&M played Miami, and that's not a bad win or anything. Like, it was a quality win, but Arkansas played Cincinnati, who I feel like is an actual really good team. Like, they were very physical. They beat an SEC team in South Carolina, which I know Georgia smoked, but Georgia's going to smoke everybody. So I feel like that they beat a really good Cincinnati team. They beat an SEC team. And yeah, they struggled against Missouri State. There's no doubt about it. But I felt like that would have been good enough to warrant being favored in this game. So I was a little surprised by it. That's why I went ahead and I bet on the Hogs. I went ahead and took that, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me, which I'm sure it won't, because Arkansas always follows through with all of the times that they have high expectations. They always do a great job with that. So I'm sure it won't go wrong.
I will tell you, and just a little pat on the back. I brought this up at Media Days, and some people loved it, some people hated it, but I said it to Sam Pittman, like, they're 16-6 going into the season against the spread, and thanked him directly for what that's done to my pocket, because that has been, I mean, he's been incredible. He's been incredible as an underdog. Yeah. So there's that. Tyler, what you got?
Yeah, he's like, actually, he's actually 2-1 this year. So the only one they've missed is Missouri State. So he's off to a good start at least.
Chris and I were just talking about before you came on about the pass defense and how it's ranked last nationally in yards per game, but yet they lead the nation in sacks. And typically, if you've got a really good D line that's getting in the backfield a ton, you would think that would lead to a really good pass defense. So what's been the disconnect there?
It's so weird. Like, it's so weird where pretty much every defensive play that Arkansas has had this year has been either a stop in the run game, a sack, a major quarterback pressure, or it's been a big play downfield. Like there's just no in between. It's kind of been that way. So it's been really strange to watch. But honestly, what it's come down to is that they have faced some pretty decent quarterbacks. I'm not saying they're high level, but like Spencer Rattler's not a bad quarterback. Ben Bryant in Cincinnati, he had a great offensive line in front of him, so I think that really helped him too. And this past weekend, he faced Bobby Petrino. Like, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. That guy's going to figure out a way to pass on you. So the numbers are definitely there. It's definitely a problem for the pass defense. But what they've been able to do, especially on the defensive line, something they couldn't do last year, is they are getting pressure with that 4-man front. But when you throw in a Drew Sanders, who that dude is amazing. Like, he has been a difference maker on this team, the transfer from Alabama. When you got that 4-man front coming up, and then you got him just coming around the edge, or if they try to block him, you got a Jordan Dominic getting through on the defensive line, or somebody's left open for a great shot. And to me, that's kind of been the whole thing, where they've gotten pressure, but give a lot of credit to the quarterbacks for making some really good throws under that pressure. But more often than not, there's not a whole lot of time for that quarterback to make a throw, but they're good quarterbacks, so they ended up making the throws anyway.
We're 3 weeks in here, and this kid has 9 touchdowns, I believe 2 interceptions. I believe, and I could be wrong about that, but I believe those are the numbers from quarterback KJ Jefferson. What does he have to do for the rest of the country to start paying attention? I feel like it's like a fucking indie. Excuse my language. This is College Uncensored, so we do say some bad words here. But like every time I see KJ Jefferson, I feel like it's like I feel like I'm the guy at the music festival or at the concert that's like, no, I came for the opening act. It's actually a lot better than the band that's playing. Like, you think Imagine Dragons is good? Their opener is way fucking better, and that's KJ Jefferson. He's not Imagine Dragons. He's way better.
If you guys haven't heard of Trapped yet, you're in for a
treat. We are big Trapped fans here.
But that's a great example of it, because it's like I kind of feel the same way, where I feel like I'm constantly having to convince people. I'm having to convince them. I'm like, no. He's actually good. People look at his numbers, be like, yeah, well, he played against this team, or, he didn't throw for a whole lot of yards against South Carolina. But it's like, no, but watch him play. Like, don't look at the stats. Watch him play. Because against South Carolina, for instance, first off, they just ran it down their throat. Like, they had no response. So they're like, they don't need KJ Jefferson to throw. And they had a touchdown pass, like a 78-yard touchdown pass, hit Matt Landers in the hands, and he dropped it. And so it's like, you have that play actually happen, and then people, it adds to the stats, that's the numbers, that's the touchdown total and all of that. But it's like, people just don't understand that you can't look at the numbers with KJ, just look at the way he plays. Because every single time that they've needed a touchdown in a crucial situation, he went out and got one. His offense went out and got one. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's only got 1 interception, I think, on the year. If he may have 2, I forgot about it. Yeah, because the only one I know of is that it was against Missouri State, and it literally hit Trey Knox in the hands, and it just popped up in the air, and then the Missouri State guy caught it. So he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't make bad decisions, and he's huge. He's like 6'3", 6'4", like 240 pounds. He's not going to go down easily. So I think that this next few game stretch of A&M, Bama, Mississippi State, BYU, that's really going to solidify himself of people saying, okay, is this guy just a big name, or does he actually make up for it? If he has big performances against these teams, I think it's going to really wake up some people. But in the first 3 games, because you didn't play any big-time teams, I just don't think people are giving him the respect that he deserves.
As you've broken down this game, obviously A&M's got the advantage on defense. They're only giving up 8.7 points a game, which is tied for 9th nationally. So I think when you break down the game, A&M's probably going to want to slow this game down. I mean, Jimbo loves a slow pace. We all know it's been talked about ad nauseum now at this point. So they're going to want it to be a low-scoring game. How do you think Kendall Briles and that offense will attack Jimbo's defense? Because you also got Rocket Sanders, who is the first Razorback running back to go for 3 straight 100-yard games to open the season since Collins did it in 2013. I think Jonathan Williams also did it that same year. So is it going to be more on the ground? Like, as you've looked at the game, where is A&M's defense more vulnerable, through the pass or on the ground?
Well, it kind of goes back to why I feel like Razorback fans feel they have the advantage because Texas A&M has a really good defense, but their defense is in the pass defense. Like they are shutting people down. I think they're ranked like 8th or something in pass defense.
Yeah.
But if you think about their rushing defense and what they've been able to do, I think they're like in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, because Miami actually, this is something even Sam Pittman brought up during the press conference this week. He's like, Miami stopped running the ball. Like they were averaging like 6 yards a carry. Like they were doing a really good job, but they just stopped. And so I believe that Arkansas, and the way you mentioned Rocket Sanders, Dominic Johnson's going to be back for this game. He's been out for the first 3 games. He was a pivotal part of the rushing attack last year. He's going to be back. You got AJ Green. You got KJ Jefferson, of course. And that offensive line, if you have a Sam Pittman as your head coach, you're not going to have a bad offensive line. So I think that they're really going to just go after A&M in this rushing attack. They're probably not going to throw a lot unless they absolutely have to, or if they're behind, something like that. But when you got Rocket Sanders rushing for like 140 yards a game and that offensive line in front of them, they're basically going to just dare Texas A&M to try to slow them down that way. And to me, that's going to be the key matchup in this game. It's Arkansas's offense versus A&M's defense. If Arkansas can run the ball effectively, they're winning this game. Like 100%. They are going to win this game. But if A&M slows down that rushing attack and forces Arkansas to throw, I'm not saying KJ can't, but that A&M secondary is really good, and that would just be not the type of pressure you want to put on KJ in this game. So that's going to be the key. Can Arkansas run the ball? If they can, they will win this game.
John, I don't say this to a lot of our guests, but I hate you, and that's because I have already submitted my answer to as A&M to win this game, and now I'm completely talked out of it because like you bring up like the rushing, and also I don't hate you. I don't really mean that. You're like a better looking Tim McGraw. So we're talking about like they're ranked 83rd. They're ranked 83rd in rush defense, giving up like 158 yards a game. They're ranked 74th, giving up 4 yards a carry. That does not bode well for this team at all. I mean, give us a prediction, and we'll get you out of here with some rapid fire questions as well. But give us a prediction on for score and everything like that this weekend in Arlington.
I kind of feel like it's going to be like it was last year. Arkansas won 20-10, and KJ actually got hurt in last year's game, and Malik Hornsby had to come in, and that's kind of where the scoring stopped. And I mean, you got to count it, but Arkansas shut down A&M's offense except for that one play where Isaiah Spiller ran for 60-plus yards. Like that one play was it, and that was the only offense that came from it. So I expect something similar this way. I think both teams will score a little bit more, but I still think Arkansas wins. I'm feeling kind of like 28-17 Arkansas. Okay. You know, I feel like they get enough on the ground. They are able to keep their defense off the field and do some things. And A&M's going to score some points. Like I think Max Johnson's definitely better than Haynes King, but I just feel like Arkansas's offense is going to hold their own. They're going to run the ball effectively, and Arkansas is going to get out of there with a 2-possession victory in this weekend.
I like it. Let's get you out of here on 2-minute drill. It is a rapid fire game. We take no prisoners, and it's going to be very difficult. Like you're up against a lot of competition. We've had Kirk Herbstreit on here, who is noted the worst answer of all time. When we asked Bucket List Concert, and he said Luke Bryan, which is a real thing he said out loud.
God.
I know, it's tough. It was tough. But we've had some good answers on here as well. So we're gonna put 2 minutes on the clock. We have 10 questions. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready, dude. Let's get it. I've gone to Town Pump. I got my Wing Wednesday in. I'm ready to roll. Let's do this.
I don't know what any of that means, but I love it. I've never been to Arkansas, the whole state.
Dude, you gotta come down. We'll have a good time.
I've honestly heard nothing but great things about the state, especially like going into the fall and winter season. But we'll talk about that off air. Okay, first question: favorite Tim McGraw song?
Of course, the name just gave me the Outlaw.
It's cool. You can sing it.
In Choctaw, like
Indian Outlaw.
Yes. Thank you. Because I kept wanting to say Cherokee Choctaw Outlaw. I'm like, that's not it. But I know that's the lyric. But no, that's my favorite song, though. That's my favorite one.
All right. Note of anti-Native American John Neighbors. No,
hey, I actually have a lot of Native American in me, so I'm good there.
I can tell because the tan. You look good. Okay.
Yeah,
that is an acceptable answer. We would have said red rag top, but that's fine. Okay. That's my favorite from high school, at least. All right. Number 2, go-to order at Chick-fil-A.
Are we doing breakfast or lunch? It's a big difference.
Do both. I love it.
Okay. All right. For breakfast, I love their breakfast burritos with the chicken in it, with the spicy chicken. Really good.
Fantastic. That's a veteran order too, because most people just go with the biscuit, but that's a very underrated order.
That's too easy. I do the spicy chicken burrito with an orange juice in the mornings. If it's a lunch though, I'm probably doing the spicy chicken sandwich.
Yep.
Large fry, large Coke Zero. In most cases, a couple Chick-fil-A sauces. But yeah, that's usually my go-to order, but I will hear you out if you want to do the chicken nuggies, man. I'll do those too.
See, I'll do the spicy chicken burrito as an appetizer for the ride home.
Ooh,
but that's just me. I've also got a little bit, what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem. Okay. Question number 3, go-to game day tailgate drink.
Busch Light, probably. I mean, because it's actually, people don't know this, but in Western Arkansas, it's the #1 per capita of Busch Light sold in the country is in Western Arkansas. So it's kind of the go-to. People like the John Deere cans. It makes them feel good. So yeah, probably Busch Light.
Number 4, what is the biggest threat to the SEC moving forward?
Greg Sankey is the biggest threat to the SEC moving forward.
The answer was actually China, but that hits home as well. Question number 5, what and or who killed the Queen?
I'm going to say Chad Morris because she had
the answer.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it has to be the answer. Like she had to watch the highlights or lowlights of Arkansas. And she's just like, well, if this is it, I guess tonight's the night, so she went ahead and ended it all there. So I guess that would be my response.
We do 10 questions on this game every time we do it. There has never been a time where I have been more pleased with an answer ever, because that was the answer, and I thought it was so ridiculous. It's like he's going to say something like old age, and you said Chad Morris. We'll call it right now after 5. You have the high score. You have it. Let me round this up real quick. That is 69,069 points. That is a very nice score from you, John. You've it just exceeded all expectations, just like Sam Pittman. I'm way too excited about this answer, as you can tell. I need to calm myself down. But tell everyone where they can find you and all that good stuff. And we'll hopefully have you back on here soon. That was great.
Hey, anytime you guys need me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BuzzJohnNeighbors. I do the Locked On Razorbacks podcast as well as host a midday radio show every weekday afternoon on 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock. You can check us out there as well. So yeah, pretty much just follow me on social media. You'll probably see my nonsense. You can figure it out from there.
Yeah, we love it, man. We'll have you on again soon. Until then, be easy. And best of luck this weekend.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. We'll see you in Arlington.
All right. Woo pig.
My God, what an answer.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was great.
I think the biggest thing I learned from that is that I've got to get out in the sun more.
Yeah. He looked like a tan Tim McGraw. And I feel bad now. Like, I wanted to say this. He looked like a natural Tim McGraw, because there's nothing about Tim McGraw that's natural. And I meant that in like the best of ways, but I felt like that was only going to come off as offensive, especially after I asked him if his mustache was real, which is, you don't say that to an adult. I don't know why I said that.
You really shouldn't say that to anyone.
No.
Woman especially, but definitely not a man.
Yeah, that's true. Especially at some point. All right, give me your prediction on this game, and then
I actually 28-17. What he said was actually in my mind, but I do think it's going to go over. Okay. So I will round up a little bit, and I'll go 28-21 Arkansas. So I think they'll go over the total, and I'm going to take Arkansas to actually win outright. I just don't think A&M just doesn't have the juice right now, in my opinion. And I like Arkansas's offense a lot. I think they do enough against that defense, and I just don't think Jimbo's offense, even with Max Johnson, they looked a little bit better on offense. I'm not so sure how good Miami is, and that was a bit of a struggle for A&M. So I like Arkansas to win outright here, 28-21.
Now listen, I had this speech prepared before all natural Tim McGraw came on here and stole the show. He was great, by the way. That was great.
Yeah, he was good. Was that the first time you've met him?
Yeah. Have you been on his fucking show? Have you been on his show or something? I don't know about. I didn't know you did the College Chaps podcast.
Yeah, I did. They asked me to be on.
They're awesome.
They are awesome.
Okay.
I was on with them the day the Queen died.
See, they always have something lined up that's so fucking ridiculous, and it cracks me up. Like, it's not like they could have known the Queen was gonna die. Jesus Christ, Elizabeth. Okay, but anyway, but I've lost my train of thought. Hold on. Okay, so back to the neighbors thing. I've had my answer prepared, and I've already submitted it for SDS. So I'm going to stand by it just to be different than what you're saying. I loved everything he said, and I believe in everything he said. And I think they will run the ball. I don't know about at will, but they will run the ball, and that'll be the recipe for success if you're Arkansas. Here's my issue with it. What do I always say? The one quote from my dad that made sense. Say it with me at the same time.
First, you last.
I'm leaving. Okay, that's close. 2. The other one
I kind of picture him as Ricky Bobby's dad in the movie.
That's a good, yeah. Especially like after I graduated college, that's like exactly how he was. Just flying by the seat of his pants and like, I'm living in a Walmart parking lot and shit. Anyway, but
there's a bobcat in the car.
As a cougar in the car. Yeah, of course I know that. I put her in there. All right. So here we go though. He always would say, and I've said this 1,000 times, there are reasons. There's a reason why they build these billion-dollar hotels in the middle of the desert. And that's Vegas always knows something. Now think about this. 2 weeks ago, A&M was a darling of like some people around the national media, some people in like public bettors, all that kind of stuff. And they were also supposed to like be in contention for the national championship. You have the 6th ranked team in the country. You have the #1 recruiting class, all that kind of stuff. Everyone knows that A&M. And then they lose to App State and become the laughing stock of the country for a solid week, right? And everyone sees this happen, right? And then they play Miami. And why are they a 5.5, 6-point favorite? And then they cover the spread. But everyone's watched this and said like no one really watched. I don't think the nation, especially public bettors, watched Arkansas struggle to Missouri State last week, right? And I don't say it in a negative way. I say that because I don't think the keen bettor is taking that into account with this line, right? Like no one's thinking like, well, Arkansas is only a 2-point favorite because they struggled against Missouri State. There's a reason that Vegas put A&M as a 2-point favorite because it looks like easy money to anyone with 2 eyes and a brain that has watched these 2 teams play all year. Vegas knows something. And I think with that reason, A&M wins this game. And they do so in some bizarre way. I think what you end up seeing on Saturday, and this is like, if it's right, I'll take credit for it for sure. But there's no way to really predict this. I think this is like a weird, not a sloppy game, but like multiple turnovers or like a fumbled punt inside the 10 leading to a touchdown. I think it's something like that where
special teams is going to play a big, like A&M could return a kick or something like that.
Right.
Like,
with H-hand. Yeah. Or a nice Smith gets loose in that secondary or something like that. And let's not forget, Max Johnson has been a good quarterback when he's gone up against teams that he's been I know he's not an underdog, but against teams like this, especially against Arkansas last year, like, that was a close game. I don't remember how he was passing, and I could be way off base saying that. But I think that Jimbo and A&M, I think there's a reason they're favored because there's really not a reason to be. And for that reason, there's a reason they're favored. I'm going to see if I can say reason one more time. I'm taking A&M. I'm going to take them 28-27.
Ooh, wow.
Wait, no, that's not what I meant. No. 28-24. 28-24.
Jesus.
All right.
Let's go to
the last game.
Last game, number 20, Florida at number 11, Tennessee. Tennessee, a 10.5-point favorite, over under 62.5. Last week, Florida struggled to beat USF. They needed a defensive touchdown and 3 USF turnovers to escape with a win. But Florida, 16 of the last 17 won against Tennessee. Tennessee's lone win in 2016. The last 3 times Tennessee was the higher-ranked team, Florida won outright. Florida 11-6 in those 17 games against the spread against Tennessee. Here's the stat I mentioned earlier. Since 1976, Tennessee has never been favored by even more than a touchdown over Florida.
That is insane. Hold on, say that again.
Since 1976, Tennessee has never been favored by even more than a touchdown over Florida.
Wow. Okay,
got that off of Brad Powers. I want to credit that. You follow that guy on Twitter?
No, I don't know who that is. He probably has it blocked. Okay.
So I don't know. Let's break down the game a little bit. I said earlier, I think Richardson may be hurt, which
he is.
There's rumors of ankle injury. There's rumors of his knee getting knocked into in the Kentucky game, and that could be it. He still doesn't have a passing touchdown this year, which is insane to think about. But that the shine has come quickly off of the Florida Gators and specifically Richardson himself.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. Now, the one good thing from this team, I don't think you've seen the Florida defense really struggle in a lot of areas. Most of their issues have come at the hands, honestly, of just Anthony Richardson making bad decisions. I love what ETN's been able to do in the run game. I love what the defense has been able to do, especially early on. I love what you said earlier about what Mullen said with Florida being an underdog, and this kid can kind of just go out there and fucking let it loose, right? What's that? Remember that Matthew McConaughey pregame pep talk he gave to Texas? He's like, "You fucking cut it loose, brother. I mean, cut it the fuck loose." Actually might be a quote from Roadhouse. I don't know, but it is a quote from Roadhouse. Cut it the fuck loose. So, is Von Miller playing, or is he still out with injury? Great question. So I think Ventrell Miller is potentially still out. I can't remember what Josh Pate said about that. I listened to the pod earlier today.
He was out. Von Miller was out for the Bills on Monday.
He was out, yes. He played. He got a sack. By the way, I also went 3-0 in my picks in that game. So we're going to continue to ride this Peter. And here's what I would say. Listen, I want Tennessee fans to listen up and listen up good. You're not a fan base. You're not a fan base that is likable. You're not a fan base that the outside world is really pulling for in a lot of ways. You're not a fan base that has a lot of other sports even that fans want to pull for. Exhibit A, your fucking baseball team full of assholes. But that's who you are. And that's what we love about you, is that you're going to have 110,000 fat assholes squeezing into the smallest seats in the SEC, just as vertical as you can get. Okay, as vertical as you can get in Neyland Stadium, and you're going to get a chance to unleash years and years. I mean, you're like a born-again virgin, just been waiting 10 years to finally start dating someone, and you are going to flood Neyland Stadium with enthusiasm. And that's exactly what the picture I want you guys to have in your head. Remember that scene from what's it, where the fat black people from where Eddie Murphy was, the Nutty Professor. Remember when he was around the table, the clumps?
Yes.
Okay. Remember when he was talking about Sherman having sex? And he's like, "Oh, that man, all that anger, just pent up inside.
Hercules,
34 years. Hercules. That's what we got right now in Knoxville. And I think that Tennessee is going to go out there, and I think they finally.
They're going to be skinny Eddie Murphy.
They're going to be, no, I don't know. They're not going to be skinny Eddie Murphy. Women be shopping. No, they're not going to be skinny Eddie Murphy. They're going to be Sherman Klump getting his due. You know what they might be? They might be every single one of them fat ass clumps around the table. And what I mean by that is they're going to fucking eat on Saturday, because this team is not better than you. This team is not better than you. You are 10 points better than them. That's why you're favored by 10 points. I'm going to buy it down to 9.5. But I think Tennessee goes out, and I think that they put a fucking hurting on Florida on Saturday. I mean, a hurting. I'm talking 44-21.
Ooh, that's bold. Here's where I like the game for Tennessee.
What's that?
UF can't throw the ball. Richardson's he's rated the 134th best passer out of 137 eligible passers for the actual statistic. The receivers have not been good. They can't pass. That's bad news when Tennessee's defense, who's been a pleasant surprise this year, they're stopping 33% of run plays at or behind the line of scrimmage, the second in the Power 5. They've been very good against the run. Florida wants to run. They want to run the ball to be successful. That's exactly what Tennessee wants Florida to try to do. That game against Pitt, where Pitt, we said Pitt had a very, very veteran O-line and a good run game. Pitt couldn't do anything on the ground against Tennessee. Tennessee comes out, they play zone defense. They can stop Richardson on the ground. Florida gave up 285 yards rushing to USF. They've only got 3 sacks this season. Here's the big thing. This is something I heard about Florida coming into following Florida State podcast and previewing all of our opponents this year. Florida's weakness on the D line is their D line and the depth. They have zero depth on the D line. Tennessee's pace of play is going to be a problem for Florida.
Yeah.
When you have a 430-pound D tackle, that dude can't stay. That dude can't stay on the field for. He's not going to be able to sub out. Tennessee goes so fast, that dude is going to be sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, they're going to have to call it. Night.
Florida's defense hasn't been good. I think they get exposed here. I need Jabari Small to be healthy for this game. It sounds like Cedric Tillman's not going to be playing in this game, which is not good for Tennessee. But I agree with you here. I think Tennessee wins big. Tennessee 38, Florida 23. Tennessee gets the monkey off the back, enter into the top 10 for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Desmond Watson's fat ass, he's going to be on that field just huffing and puffing at the end of this game.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, I like that too.
It.
I guess that would probably, 38-23 would also take that game over. Would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Barely.
Yeah.
No.
I like it. So,
I wouldn't.
All right. Those are your picks for this week. I got to pee. Held it the entire show. Pretty proud of myself. Guys, we really appreciate you guys. I do want to say before we go, it has been a fun start to the year. We would love to get more of these picks and also hear back from you guys. What would make the show better? What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? Some names that we should have on as guests, all the above. Let us know either privately or something like that. Like I said, Trevor Garza reached out and gave some feedback. We really appreciate it. Anyone else that has some, I know we had some from our friend Lillian as well. And so we love all that. We appreciate you guys watching in the comments, but make sure you call the hotline. It's 424-430-0045. Again, the game day hotline. It is a Compton phone number, so you know it's good. 424-430-0045. Tyler, you got anything else?
No, just go follow us at CFB_uncensored on Twitter. And go give us a 5-star if you haven't. Give us a review on Apple. I think the Apple podcasts are back working now, it sounds like maybe.
Yeah.
So go give us a review on there. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, give us a voicemail this weekend. We'll play the best ones on Sunday when we record. So
yeah, love it.
Good luck to your teams this weekend. And we look forward to chatting with you on Sunday.